Hello, so what we're going to look at today is creating a parallax background. So we look like we've got motion going on, even though we're just using kind of one slide with a few tricks in place. So this is the example that we shared on LinkedIn. Got a very nice kind of moving background. And a parrot kind of flying through it, and it looks seamless. So we're not really seeing where it kind of starts again, basically. And these butterflies here are just to show like kind of how we've made the parrot move, because it's a change of state, and it's all based on the kind of the how quickly these move into each other, and they go into like a chain reaction. So we've got a couple of tricks here, which is the moving background, and then the actual kind of animation of the parrot where it looks like they're moving. So Hong got a great image from, so we just use free pics, so we haven't created this image ourselves in this sense. We've just used a resource that we do called free pics. So I'm going to be doing an example with someone walking, which it doesn't look as good as Hon's does. Hon got a fantastic picture with this parrot, because it's got a few different like kind of motion pathways in it. It gives that lovely seamless kind of movement of the parrot with all the different kind of motions of it. So it's just switching states is what it's doing, and then the background is resetting itself each time it's kind of gone past. So it's actually quite straightforward to do this. So first thing that we'll look at is the background. So I'm going to do a street example here. So we've just got a street, and we're going to make it look like the person's walking along this street. So all that we've done is we've just got a group called repeat background, and we've got two of the same image in there. So this is my Blue Peter one. Here's one I've done earlier, which shows that street in action there, so we can see it moving along. Could probably slow that down a bit actually, couldn't we? Should we make that last a bit longer? So we've got 5 seconds here. We'll do it a bit longer on the one that we do. So first thing, so the image I've got here is something that's bigger than the slide, just a bit bigger than the slide, but probably not big enough where on its own you'd be able to create the effect. So we just need to kind of make an extended image in the background. So you're going to find this a much easier job to do if you've got like kind of a reasonably repeating background. The more complicated you make your background, the more complicated you make your background, the more difficult it's going to be to get like kind of your join point on it, really. So when you're doing these, try and find like a reasonably repeating background. So I'm just going to copy and paste this background, and then I'm going to pop it on the end of here. Now again, if you've got one that's a bit more complicated and you need like kind of a join point in this middle, that like maybe you've got a pattern that might go off pattern, you could try flipping the image so it looks the same as this side here when it joins in. But our one here we shouldn't have that problem with. So let's just make sure that this is lined up okay. So we'll just move that one more pixel across. Control and right we use to do that. Okay, so I believe we've got one image there, so I'm just going to make this into a group. Call it our repeating background, and just my autopilot of removing stuff from accessibility, I'm just going to untick those. Okay, so we've got our group now. So all that we need to do with this is give it a motion pathway. So we'll give it a line motion pathway. we're going to get it to go left, or is it? Yep, left. Let's get it to last 6 seconds. And I want that to go just about on the edge of the slide. So around about there, I think. Ooh. Let's do that again. Stay in a straight line. There we go. So on our path options, remove all of these because those give it like that kind of ease in and ease out, which we don't want it to do. So none of that. And then we'll make it a slow speed as well. And we'll give that, let's have a look at what 6 seconds looks like. We'll call it repeat background just so we know what pathway that is. So when the timeline starts on, we'll just go for this slide, move repeat background along repeat background, and then we'll just get another trigger, which is when animation completes, do it again. So if I've got my animation lined up all right, which hopefully I have, looks the same as our other one, then we should have our Parallax background now, and it'll be hopefully as simple as that. I think it's moving up slightly. Let's have a closer look. I don't think I've got it quite right there. Okay, I think I might have just shifted that a little bit. Let's have a look now. There we go. So we've got our repeating background now. Just give it a bit more time just to make sure that I've let it run its whole course and it's running through, but it looks good. So you could just leave it at that. You can turn this video off now. If you've got something that looks reasonably stationary, or if you've got a GIF that you're adding in, that's kind of all you really need to do, because you've now got your motion of movement, and you might just move your GIF up and down on a couple of pathways if it's like, you know, depending on what your background is. But nice easy job. See, that didn't take us very long at all to get that done. Let's just increase the time, see what it looks like if we just give it a bit more space to move. So yeah, you can set that for how you want, really, just by how long your motion pathway is. Hopefully we should have the same experience. It's looking good. We'll just give it a bit more time to get through. Excellent. So if all you need is a moving background, you can stop right now. You've seen what you need to see. Play around with these path options if you want a little bit, you know, you might want it a bit faster, etc. It's your little playground really, because it's easy enough to set up, so you can finesse it in exactly the way that you need to. So now that we've got our moving background in place, which is just 2 triggers, so we're triggering a movement as the slide starts, so you could get that to trigger some other way if you prefer to have a start stop button, and then it just continues by, after it's finished that, it will run the animation again. Because we've only got one pathway, it is basically snapping the entire image back to its original point and moving again. And just with the positioning of the image as it does that, it has that seamless point where you can't see the snap back. So it's really cool. Handy little trick, because it's quite straightforward to do. So we have got, from FreePix, we've exported this into Illustrator. So we've got 5 vector images which look like kind of a person moving, which is this person. So I've flipped it. So I've got my person here, and then I've flipped it, and I've added each person into the state of this rectangle here. So I've just called it GIF Walker because it's kind of a GIF, and we've got 1, 2. So you'll see how mine looks a bit jittery, you know, because it's not got as many states as Hon's image did, which again just shows you the freedom. If you're good with Illustrator and such, you could add some more like kind of slighter movements in there and get like kind of a really lovely animation, you know, just from a start of what you get in FreePix, which is great. Wonderful resource to help you like kind of have a starting point for vectors that you can then kind of finesse and make your own. So we've got an image in here, which I'm using these as the fill. So these are just kind of, so if I just have a look at here, shape, fill, and picture, and I've just popped each picture in as the fill background. So each of these images, I've made sure that they're exactly the same dimensions. So all I've had to do is make a rectangle the same dimension shape, and then use the fill option to basically fill everyone, and so the perspective of it looks exactly the same, where it doesn't change shape and stuff. So if you've got these vectors, they'll obviously export as like kind of as the outline of the person. So you just need to have a trick in place to make sure that they all export at the same size, so you don't get any funny kind of change of aspect from these characters of like kind of getting smaller or bigger dependent on how big the image is in there. So this is simply what we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states, and then the only goal of these here is, so I've got the same amount of rectangles as I have states, and I'm using these as my timer to time when those states are changing. So all of these have got a simple movement pathway on. So if I again just preview this slide, you'll see that they're all just on a movement pathway, just like that. And it's chain reaction, so one is then triggering the other. So we're using the move action, and it's every time the previous move action has finished. So if we were to replicate it on the one that we've just made our background on here, so we will do the same. We'll grab just a standard shape. We're going to knock this off the screen when we actually come to use it. So let's just pop it there for now. We will give this a movement pathway as well. Yep, can get it to go down. let's say that we want it on a 0.10. We'll call it move 1 so we can identify them all. And we don't really need to do anything over on these. I'll tell you what, let's take off the direction anyway, just to make these nice and snappy as well. So there we go. So we've got 5 states, so let's do the same again. Oh, I think I'm accidentally copying the pathway there. There we go. Just pop these numbers on just so we can identify them. There we go. Let's identify them in here as well. Big fan of labeling my stuff. Makes it easy for someone else to find then, if someone else picks up where I left off. Okay, and we'll group these as well, so just so we've got them all together. Group. And we'll call it a GIF timer. Okay, so I've got my objects ready. They're just all going to jump at the same time at the moment. No, they're not. Oh yeah, they're only going to do it once, and it's 0.10 seconds, so they fly through. Sorry. Okay, so that's fine. So we're going to get rid of all of those. We don't need those. So when timeline starts, we're going to start our train reaction as well. So move 1 along 1 is the first thing that's going to happen. And then I'm just going to copy that trigger as well because it's the starting point for me. Now we're going to move 2 along. Oh, let's change the names for those as well. Of course I didn't do that. Okay, let's do that again now. So we're now going to move 1, no we're not, we're going to move 2 along 2 when move 1 has finished along 1. So start up a little chain reaction. So then we're going to move 3 along move 3 when move 2 is finished. Then we will move 4 along 4 when 3 has finished. You can get quite confused quite easily when you're doing these repeat triggers, because you're like, have I done 4? Am I on 3? Am I on 2? But no, I think, let's have a look. So now what we'll probably see is, it is quick, but we'll see them all do 1 and then stop. Whoop, and we stop. Okay, so we now need to do the chain reaction. So if you imagine so then we do another 1 for 1, move along 1 when 5 has done 5. Excellent, and we've now got a timeline, so if you need the states to change faster or slower, well, not really faster, I don't think you're going to get any faster than that. If you need the timelines to change slower, you just alter this duration on each of your movement pathways to make it a little different. So we've got that ready now. This is now kind of ready to start triggering our states. And then last but not least, so we've got our image ready with all of our different walking positions in. So let's put that on mine now. I've just left it with a blue border around it at the moment, just so we can, where should she walk from? Here? Just so we can see our object in there. Okie dokie. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So move 1 along 1. And then change state of GIF walker to 1. So we're now just going to replicate the same actions of that movement. It's going to do the same for each state. So we're going to change state of our walker to 2. So it might seem a bit unusual having these just for this reason, but they do just nicely allow you to kind of trigger all of the state changes at the same time. Let's get rid of that. GIF walker to, that should be I'm having a moment. Yeah, okay, there's my moment. We got out of it. This is where I was saying where it can just get confusing. It's like, should I be in 4 or 3 or 2? Because that says 2, so does that mean that I should be on 3? But no, because this one, move 5, goes back to 1, because that's the chain reaction. Okie dokie, so I think we've got them all in there. There you go, we've got our person walking now. So let's get rid of this and get rid of our border. Just like to sometimes leave stuff on to help me see what I'm doing before I move it all. It's almost like you're bug checking, isn't it? We'll give that no outline now and just run it again. Okay, so I'm saying no outline, but it's still there. Do my states? Oh, my states have got a separate outline in. That's unusual. I must have accidentally put them all in there. But hey ho. These are the things that happen to us. We're only human. And if we weren't, life would be boring. No outline. I wonder why I did that. Who knows, eh? Save that story for another time. Here we go. Let's have a look now. Yay! So we've now got our slightly jiltery walker. Like I said, it was I've just taken it straight from free picks just to show that you can like kind of have a starting point. You know, with Illustrator, you could make some smoother motions in there. And just use the same functionality. That's the most important thing for you, is just to understand the functionality. And we've got our person walking down the street. So there you go. That's a little demonstration on how to make a parallax background, a repeating background, with the kind of faux, so the trickery of motion, where nothing really, I mean, she's not moving at all. She just looks like she's moving because of her background. So thank you ever so much for watching. If you want to see any other tips and tricks, we've got more on our channel. Anything else that you're wanting to see or wanting to pick our brain on, then get in touch and we're more than happy to chat. All the best.